one of Kendrick's bars, and I'm going to lead this into the next point, was talking about, you know, he was kind of eating at Drake for being, quote unquote, not black enough in a way. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't like the way he says the N-word, this, that, and third.
Yeah.
That's probably got to hit Drake in the insecure route, but I want to lead that into the next question about being white in hip-hop.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it when you first kind of got into hip-hop?
Yeah.
To, like, how you feel about it now?
Let me just say this. It's okay to be white. You know what I'm saying? I love, you know, first of all, it's bigger than race.
Facts.
Like, the problems of the world is bigger than race. I think we need to acknowledge the
right. The racism and
the racism, and it's specifically the systemic oppression.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
With you on that. Facts.
And the way that the system is kind of just rigged against a lot of people. But as people, we're people. You know what I'm saying? And we're one, and we should all be working together for the same common causes to make this world a better place. But it's okay to be white. You know, it's so funny, like this like stigma that's all of a sudden become popular of like, oh, if you're white, you shouldn't be in hip hop, because that was never the case when I was growing up.
I guess
I agree, like, there shouldn't be culture vultures. You know what I'm saying? There shouldn't be people that come in and mimic the culture for their own success or their own financial gain. But this shit don't got nothing to do with race. Like, if you from the culture, you from the culture. Right. It's not dedicated to a specific race.
I agree 100%.
And, you know, I've been around a lot of people, or a lot of real motherfuckers, and no real motherfuckers ever told me, you're white, you shouldn't be rapping. You know what I'm saying? That's like,
it's always the cornballs.
It's the cornballs.
You
know what I'm saying? It's the motherfuckers who deep down are dealing with some rooted insecurity
that you all damn near feel bad for. Like,
and so I just want everybody to know it's okay to be who you are. Like, don't try to be something that you're not. Don't think you got to play a role. Don't think because your mom is this race or your dad is this race that now you have to do something that you're seeing on TV. And if you're white, don't group yourself in with no oppressor. Like, go fight these causes. From like the most intelligent African American or black academics that I've ever talked to, they don't tell me to be ashamed of my race. Ever has that been the sentiment? It's always been, be comfortable in your skin and do what you can do to make this world a better place. Use your privilege.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know, being white in this shit, I've had a lot of conversations about race that in today's day and age, it seems like you can't even talk about race anymore. You gonna offend somebody, you gonna get canceled. You might say something that's wrong. I got no problem being wrong. I'm gonna speak my mind and what I know to be true, and if I'm incorrect, educate me. I'm here to learn. I'm always a learner. So I'm not afraid to sit up here and talk about racial shit, but it's for one, it's like spinning our wheels, right? Because it's so much bigger than race.
Facts. Yeah.
It's not black versus white. There's never going to be a race war. I can guarantee you. There's people out there that think there's going to be a race war. I can guarantee you there's never going to be a race war. It's not black versus white. But I think discussions are it's just good to have discussions with people one-on-one.
Yeah, very necessary.
And just like, we should always be looking for knowledge. And so, I think it's like taboo right now ever since BLM, it's been taboo to like talk about race, and like we supposed to tiptoe around that. That's not how we beat this system.
My opinion on that is, like, at least from my experience in hip hop, you're right. Like, there's a lot of systematic oppression and things that you can just tell it puts people of color or certain races against the odds in certain ways. Like, I even see it from a small standpoint where, like, I'll play on a basketball team. I was playing on an intramural team at Metro. I was the only white dude on the team. Everyone else was, you know, they're black. And you could even tell just little things, like the refs would treat our team a little bit different than the other teams that weren't as black. For sure. You know what I'm saying? So you could see it.
Anybody that's like grown up around black people have always seen the racism and understand that that's different than what we deal with in our day-to-day lives. Man, matter of fact, let me tell a story. Back in high school, I was a little badass kid.
I feel you.
My friends was all black though, but so we would go into 7-Eleven at lunch, and the 7-Eleven cashier would always be watching my homies for stealing.
Yeah.
And because I was white, he wouldn't watch me. And so I would,
you would get away with it,
bro. I would walk out every single day of 7-Eleven with $30-$40 worth of candy and snacks every day. It worked. And no, I'm not just feeding myself. Now all my homies can eat too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's real world. Like there's no denying that racism exists. Right. There's no denying that black people get treated differently by people that are racist. And there's no denying that that's that's happening on a daily basis over and over and over again. Right. But I just think, you know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean that every white person is a bad person.
Facts. Well, and it's also, there's two things I want to talk about. Is like, I feel that, well, I'll be confused sometimes because I'm like, okay, why are you so mad at me when I'm like actually just trying to like collaborate? Like, go be mad at the dude that's actually like openly racist, like doing all this shit, like, you know what I'm saying, that lives up in the suburbs, rich as fuck, like all this bread, and he's like openly oppressing, you know what I'm saying? Right. But you're upset at me because like I'm trying to collaborate with community.
And all it is proximity. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, because we the white people that are around, we gotta, you know what I'm saying, we gotta kind of take that sometimes.
Right. Yeah. And I'm sure that they probably feel the same way in like country music or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure black people probably into country music and they like, damn, I feel kind of like, because I'll be pulling up sometimes the video shoots or whatever, and I'm the only white person, and you can kind of feel the little, like, it's not like a bad tension, like anything's going to happen, but it's just like, yeah, I'm different. But I'm sure they probably feel the same way when they pull up and there's all white.
Yeah, people. Right. Any, you know, you can mix races 100,000 different ways. You know what I'm saying? Anytime you're one in the overall collective, you're of course going to stand out. But I mean, I think it's important for us to just be natural, be ourselves. Facts. And just lead by example, and just, you know, at the end of the day, we all just people.
Yeah. But one point I definitely want to talk about is like, I'm totally fine with talking about race and like being honest about the systematic racism stuff, but there gets to a point where it becomes almost like a white guilt thing, and it's like, I wasn't born and chose to be white. Like, this
I can tell you right now, I don't feel guilty for being white.
Yeah,
well, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I've felt that though at times. Like, people have made me feel like guilty for being white because I'm in hip hop.
See, I've always known. It's a lot easier for me as a white person to say this, but I don't identify as my race. Like, I'm not.
That is true. I try not to.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't give. White people is not a culture. You know what I'm saying? We're not a people. We just have this skin tone. Right. And you're never going to see like, oh, we're white, so we going to click up as a community type. It just don't work that way. When you live in the white experience, it's really every man for himself. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's true. It's not
you
as
and
much
me ain't on the same team because we both white. You know what I'm saying? Like, and and anybody working in the corporate world, it's like, it's literally dog eat dog when it comes to white people.
Right. It's not like family oriented
at all. Yeah. So first of all, it's not being white is not my identity. There, you know, and when I say white people aren't a culture, it's like white people come from all different places in Europe and Russia and, you know what I'm saying? So all these, it's more like there's culture, but it's more like Italian culture, it's French culture, it's German culture, it's Irish, it's Catholic culture. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's much more like, it's micro, and so it's not like I wake up and being white is part of my identity. I've never been like I don't feel guilty for being white because those motherfuckers that own slaves ain't got shit to do with me.
Facts.
Like, those people are not my people. I hate them with the same passion that you hate them with.
Right.
I just want to do my part to contribute to society.
Yeah, I agree. And when I say white guilt, I mean like it's a matter of just like I'm willing to be like on your side and like go against racism, but like just respect me too, because it's like dead ass, like especially back in 2020, 2021 when like there's a point people was trying to cancel me, bro. Like, and I felt guilty for being white. And like now I'm a little more confident, I'm comfortable, and I've kind of gotten used to the white jokes and this, that, and the third with hip hop. But there's been times where like I'm literally like dude, like all these people from the past like you said, that I ain't got no clue what was going on, but I wasn't born. I got nothing to do with it.
I'm not going to be responsible for somebody else's actions. Let's not act like in 1865 every white person was pro-slavery. There was good people. There was good white people with good hearts who wanted that to end just as badly. And if I lived back then, I'll be one of those white people saying, "No, we shouldn't be doing this."
And
go ahead.
And there's other cultures that were doing slavery too. It wasn't just white people. It wasn't just white people. It's just different.
It's just different because slavery's been around for thousands and thousands of years. But you know, the North Atlantic slave trade, slavery was used in a different way. You know, a lot of times historically, you could work your way out of being a slave, or it would be over a period of time, or you know, saying we really the part about the North American slave trade is we really exploited people in a way that was just horrible. You know what I'm saying? There's no other way to describe it. You know, and erase people's identities and like, so like I don't want to sit here and be like, oh, there's always been slaves, because white people, you know, during that time period, they was doing it worse than how it's been done historically.
Yeah. And maybe I haven't done enough research on that, but I mean, I've heard from the research I have done that it was other cultures, but you got a point. It is probably, I'm sure it's different. Yeah. Our version of it was a lot more violent. Like, what has been your experience? I mean, I know we basically went through most of it, but like,
I've always been embraced by the culture.
Yeah. Do you feel like it's a lot different now though? Like just
I think this idea that white people don't belong in hip hop, it's a new idea. That was never the message when I was growing up listening to Eminem. You know what I'm saying? Even from the get go, I mean, there's always been white people in hip hop. There's always been white people making dope contributions. What I think is, we just don't want white people that are exploiting the culture, and we don't want white people. And I think this is where it circles back to Drake being half Jewish.
Right.
Is we don't want people portraying an image to our communities and to our kids, because kids are the future, that, oh, you should be doing drugs or you should be violent, or a lot of the music promotes that isn't healthy for our communities and for our children. And I think, you know, that's ultimately what like Kanye touches on a lot when he's been getting canceled recently, is like, do we blame the Jews for that? You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to sit on here and say the Jews are responsible for A, B, and C. But like when we looking at the top of the food chain, who's ultimately responsible for pushing the message in entertainment
behind like the labels and stuff.
Why are the rich people spending money with the artists to talk about bullshit and not the people that are here to build up the communities? Because there's also some really dope, talented artists that message is completely different than what the mainstream wants to sell you. And I feel like, does Drake play into that because it helps his pocketbook? And if he does, that's where the issue is.